A John Cusack, an in-depth biography. John Paul Cusack stands as one of the most distinctive and enduring faces of American cinema from the 1980s to the present day. His career, spanning over 4 decades, defies easy categorization. He is neither a traditional leading man nor a character actor in the conventional sense, but rather a unique hybrid, an intelligent, often sardonic, everyman who has built a filmography rich with cult classics, critical darlings, and commercial hits, all while operating largely outside the Hollywood mainstream. Cusack's persona is built on a foundation of quick wit, relatable angst, and a palpable integrity, both in his role choices and his personal life. This biography will explore his journey from a Chicago theater kid to a globally recognized actor, writer, and producer, delving into his family background, his artistic evolution, his political activism, and the personal philosophy that has shaped his path. Early life and formative years. John Cusack was born on June 28, 1966, in Evanston, Illinois, into a family deeply entrenched in the performing arts. He was the fourth of 5 children born to Nancy Carroll, a former mathematics teacher and political activist, and Richard Dick Cusack, an actor and filmmaker who later worked in advertising. The Cusack household was a vibrant, intellectually charged environment where creativity and social consciousness were paramount. His siblings, Anne, Joan, Bill, and Susie, would all find careers in acting, with Joan achieving particular fame as John's frequent on-screen collaborator. The family's Irish Catholic roots and strong Chicago identity were central to their upbringing. Richard Cusack's work in documentary filmmaking exposed John to the power of narrative and social commentary from a young age. His mother's activism, particularly during the Civil Rights Movement, and her work with the Chicago Housing Tenants Organization, instilled in him a lifelong commitment to progressive politics. This combination of artistic expression and social awareness became the bedrock of John's worldview. His introduction to acting came early, through the Piven Theater Workshop in Evanston, founded by friends of the family, Byrne and Joyce Piven. Their son, Jeremy Piven, would become one of John's closest childhood friends and a recurring collaborator. The workshop, steeped in the improvisational techniques of Viola Spolin, emphasized emotional truth, spontaneity, and ensemble work. This training provided Cusack with a formidable toolkit, fostering a naturalistic style that would later set him apart from more theatrically trained peers. He attended St. Francis Borgia Elementary School and later Maine East High School in Park Ridge, but his true education was happening on stage. By his mid-teens, he was already a seasoned performer in Chicago's storied off-loop theater scene, appearing in productions at the Body Politic and Wisdom Bridge theaters. Breaking into film, the 1980s Brat Pack adjacency. Cusack's film debut was a minor role in the 1983 comedy Class, but his first significant part came in 1984 with Rob Reiner's seminal rock mockumentary, This Is Spinal Tap, where he played the smug, turtleneck-clad publicist, Mickey. Although his scene was cut from the theatrical release, it marked his entry into the world of professional filmmaking. His true breakout arrived in 1985 with 2 films that capitalized on the teen movie boom of the era. In The Sure Thing, directed by Reiner, Cusack played Walter Gibson, a college freshman on a cross-country trip to meet a guaranteed romantic fling. His chemistry with co-star Daphne Zuniga and his ability to blend sarcasm with genuine vulnerability made the film a hit and established his archetype, the smart, talkative, romantically frustrated young man. Later that year, he starred in John Hughes' 16 Candles as Bryce, the geeky love interest. While not the lead, the film cemented his association with the so-called Brat Pack, though Cusack always maintained a certain distance from that scene, rooted in his Chicago background and more serious theatrical training. He continued this streak with Better Off Dead, 1985, a surreal, darkly comic tale of teenage despair that failed at the box office but rapidly became a cult classic. His portrayal of Lane Meyer, desperately trying to win back his girlfriend while navigating bizarre neighbors and suicidal paperboys, showcased his talent for physical comedy and delivering absurdist dialogue with deadpan conviction. The rest of the 1980s saw him navigating between teen comedies and more ambitious projects. He starred in The Journey of Natty Gann, 1985, a Depression-era adventure, and Stand By Me, 1986, where he played the older, deceased brother of Gordie 𝗕𝗓𝗓𝗄, a ghostly presence in a film about memory and loss. His role in Hot Pursuit, 1987, was forgettable, but he bounced back with 8 Men Out, 1988. John Sayles' historical drama about the 1919 Chicago Black Sox scandal, playing third baseman Buck Weaver, a player who performed brilliantly but was banned for knowing about the fix. Cusack held his own alongside veterans like John Mahoney and David Strathairn. The film was a passion project shot in Chicago, and it reflected his interest in morally complex American stories. The decade closed with one of his defining roles, Lloyd Dobler in Cameron Crowe's Say Anything, 1989. With his trench coat, boombox hoisted high playing Peter Gabriel's In Your Eyes, and his declaration that he didn't want to buy, sell, or process anything, Lloyd became an instant generational icon. Cusack infused the character with an unwavering, almost naive sincerity that was devoid of cynicism. Lloyd wasn't a rebel without a cause. He was a genuine romantic with a unique moral compass. The film's success propelled Cusack to leading man status, but unlike many of his contemporaries, he used that capital to pursue eclectic, often risky projects. The 1990s, cult status and artistic maturation. The 1990s marked Cusack's evolution from teen idol to a respected actor with fiercely loyal fans. He began the decade with The Grifters, 1990, a neo-noir where he played a small-time con artist caught between his mother and his girlfriend, both master grifters. Directed by Stephen Frears, it was a dark adult role that demonstrated his range. He followed this with the controversial romance True Colors, 1991, and the quirky comedy Roadside Prophets, 1992. His collaboration with director George Armitage on The Player, 1992, a cameo, and then more fully on Miami Blues, 1990, showcased his taste for offbeat material, but it was his reunion with the teen genre in a more subversive form that produced a landmark film. The Sure Thing screenwriter Stephen L. D'Souza wrote The Last Boy Scout, 1991, but Cusack's major action turn came with Con Air, 1997, a high-concept blockbuster where he played a U.S. Marshal. While a commercial success, it felt somewhat atypical for him. The mid-90s, however, saw the emergence of the quintessential Cusack film, a blend of romance, existential angst, and sharp literate dialogue. He co-wrote with his writing partners D.V. DeVincentis, Steve Pink, and Scott Rosenberg, and starred in Grosse Pointe Blank, 1997. Playing Martin Q. Blank, a hitman attending his 10-year high school reunion, Cusack created a modern classic. The film was a brilliant cocktail of dark comedy, romance with Minnie Driver, and 80s nostalgia, driven by a stellar soundtrack. It was a perfect vehicle for his strengths: witty monologues, moral unease, and a charmingly distressed demeanor. This creative partnership continued with High Fidelity, 2000. Technically a turn-of-the-millennium release, but the culmination of his 90s work. Adapting Nick Hornby's novel and transplanting it from London to Chicago, Cusack co-wrote and starred as Rob Gordon, a record store owner and compulsive listmaker dissecting his failed relationships. The film's use of direct-to-camera address was masterful, and Cusack's portrayal of male insecurity, pretension, and ultimate growth was arguably his career best performance. It solidified his status as the poet laureate of romantic male neurosis. Throughout the 90s, he also took supporting roles in prestigious films like Woody Allen's Bullets Over Broadway, 1994, and Clint Eastwood's Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil, 1997, proving his versatility. He founded his own production company, New Crime Productions, in the late 80s, which was instrumental in developing Grosse Pointe Blank and other projects, giving him greater creative control. The 2000s, mainstream success and political engagement. Entering the new millennium, Cusack balanced mainstream Hollywood leads with independent passion projects. Serendipity, 2001, was a straightforward, successful romantic comedy. America's Sweethearts in 2001 was a big-budget satire of Hollywood. He then took a sharp turn into thrillers with The Jack Bull, 1999, on TV, Runaway Jury, 2003, and the Stephen King adaptation, 1408, 2007, where his performance as a cynical paranormal investigator trapped in a haunted hotel room was a tour de force of escalating terror. However, the defining aspect of Cusack's 2000s was his increasingly vocal political activism, which began to influence his film choices. The election of George W. Bush and the subsequent invasion of Iraq in 2003 galvanized him. He became a prominent critic of the administration, the war, and the erosion of civil liberties. He wrote op-eds for The Huffington Post and made frequent appearances on political talk shows. This activism translated to his work. He starred in and produced War Inc.'s 2008, a satirical black comedy he co-wrote, which portrayed a dystopian Middle East run by private corporations. A direct critique of the Iraq War and military privatization. The film was messy and polemical, but represented a clear fusion of his art and his politics. He also starred in Grace is Gone, 2007, as a father dealing with the loss of his wife in Iraq, a quiet, heartfelt drama. He continued to appear in commercial projects like Must Love Dogs, 2005, Martian Child, 2007, and the disaster epic 2009, which became his biggest box office hit. These roles allowed him to finance and focus on the projects he cared about deeply. His performance as Edgar Allan Poe in The Raven, 2012, was a return to historical, character-driven work. The 2010s and beyond, character actor and continued voice. In recent years, Cusack has gracefully transitioned into more character-driven and supporting roles. He has appeared in a mix of indie films, thrillers, and voice work. He played Richard Nixon in The Butler, 2013, a chilling and nuanced portrayal. He starred in the dystopian satire Maps to the Stars, 2014, for David Cronenberg, and the thriller Cell, 2016, another Stephen King adaptation. He has also embraced television, with a recurring role in the second season of Amazon's Utopia and a lead role in the crime series 𝗕𝗓𝗧𝝓𝗏. His voice work includes the animated series Archer and video games like Disco Elysium. He remains active in political discourse, particularly around issues of corporate power, surveillance, and war, personal life, privacy, and principles. John Cusack has been notoriously private about his personal life, especially compared to the media scrutiny common in Hollywood. He is never married and has no children. His most publicized long-term relationship was with actress Neve Campbell in the late 1990s. He has also been linked to models and actresses, including Alison Eastwood, Claire Forlani, and China Chow. He maintains that his personal relationships are not for public consumption, a stance that has allowed his work to remain the primary focus. He splits his time between a home in the Lincoln Park neighborhood of Chicago and Los Angeles, but his heart remains firmly in Chicago. He is an avid fan of the Chicago Cubs, a passion he shares with his family, and was ecstatic when they finally won the World Series in 2016. He is also a dedicated musician and audiophile, with a deep knowledge of music that famously informed High Fidelity. His political activism remains central to his identity. He is a longtime supporter of progressive causes, including the American Civil Liberties Union, Amnesty International, and various anti-war organizations. He has been critical of both Democratic and Republican establishments when he perceives them as serving corporate interest over public good. This outspokenness has occasionally led to backlash, but he has remained steadfast. Artistic philosophy and legacy. John Cusack's career is a testament to integrity within the commercial film industry. He has consistently chosen roles that interest him, often playing outsiders, cynics with hidden hearts, or men grappling with ethical dilemmas. His on-screen persona is deeply intertwined with his own intellect and restlessness. He is not an actor who disappears into roles. Instead, he imbues his characters with a specific Cusackian energy, verbally dexterous, emotionally accessible, and fundamentally decent even when flawed. His legacy is multifaceted. He is an icon of 80s and 90s cinema, the face of a certain kind of intelligent romantic comedy. He is a cult figure beloved for films like Better Off Dead and Grosse Pointe Blank. He is a respected actor who has collaborated with a vast range of auteurs from Stephen Frears to Clint Eastwood to David Cronenberg. And he is a public intellectual who uses his platform for political engagement. Unlike many child stars or teen idols, Cusack has managed his career with remarkable foresight, avoiding typecasting and maintaining his credibility. He has built a filmography that is uniquely his own, a collection of films that speak to romantic idealism, cultural criticism, and the complexities of modern masculinity. From Lloyd Dobler's Boombox to Rob Gordon's Record Store, from Martin Blank's Crisis of Conscience to his own real-world political stands, John Cusack has carved out a space as one of American film's most relatable, thoughtful, and enduring figures. His story is not one of dramatic rise and fall, but of sustained, thoughtful evolution. An artist and a man who, in his own words, has always been more interested in the questions than the easy answers.